I knew I wanted to be a doctor, maybe not a dentist specifically, but back then I knew I wanted to be a doctor, even with the people I used to learn with. When you'd be going through the practicals and you're wearing a lab coat and people would be like, oh my God, you look really good as a doctor.
Behind every woman is a story of courage, purpose, and becoming. Inspiring and celebrating women, one story at a time. This is Feminine Energy.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Feminine Energy, the space where we sit down, get real, and celebrate the women who are quietly building extraordinary lives. This channel exists for one reason: to inspire and to celebrate women. Every woman has a story behind the title, behind the smile, and behind that she has got it all together. We talk about the sacrifices, the doubts, and the 3 a.m. moments nobody sees, and the strengths that gets you through them. Today, I'm with a guest whose journey is going to inspire so many of you. So get comfortable and let's begin. I'm your host, Tsitsi Grace Nyambe. Can you introduce yourself?
Hi, Tsitsi. Thank you for having me today. So my name is Tatenda Mapfumo, and I'm a dentist by profession. I'm 26 years old, so pretty much I'm still a bit new to this industry, but I think I've been doing well so far.
That's good. Can you tell us, who is Tatenda?
Well, that's a very interesting question. So I guess I'm just a girl. I like to call myself a little bunny trying to navigate its way through the world. But I am quite curious about, things around me, the journey that I have before me. And I think I'm quite a reflective person. I really like to think about the journey I've been on and how it's, leading me to where I'm going now. And I would also want to think I'm someone who's compassionate, very eager to be helping people around her, because growing up, my dad actually used to call me Mother Teresa because, I would always be giving people my things and stuff. Just because that's just how I am. So I really love giving, I love helping and lending a hand. So yeah, I think at the core, probably that's mostly what makes me and probably what actually pushed me to be in this profession I am in.
Interesting. Tatenda is a giver, Mother Teresa. That's nice.
Yeah.
Tatenda, I believe now you're a dentist. Can you take us back? Was it your dream to become a dentist?
Um, yeah, I did have a general picture of the direction I wanted to be in. I knew I wanted to be a doctor, maybe not a dentist specifically, but back then I knew I wanted to be a doctor, even with the people I used to learn with. When you'd be going through the practicals and you're wearing a lab coat and people would be like, oh my God, you look really good as a doctor. So it kind of like slowly built that picture in my mind. And by the time I was done, I did know what I wanted to do, a direction, but it kind of then shifted to be a dentist and not a doctor because I wasn't really a fan of like the long working hours and the midnight calls and all that because I didn't feel like I wanted to do that. And also maybe being a family person, I would rather have a profession where I know I work certain hours and maybe, just during the week and not on weekends so that I have more time to bond and, be with my family and do the things that I love.
Okay, that's great. So what time do you go to work? Which hours do you work?
So typically where I work, we start at 9, but it just depends if we do have like book patients at 9. If we have one at 10, then you can come in at 10. And typically by 4, around 4, I'm done. So I could safely say between 9 and 4, but sometimes it's earlier. So yeah.
You don't work during weekends?
No, I don't work on Saturdays and Sundays.
That's good. You have enough time with the family.
Yeah.
Becoming a dentist, is it that like somebody planted the seed in your head or you just did it by yourself without anyone influencing to make that decision?
Okay, so yeah, like I was saying, also considering the working hours, being a doctor, you constantly have to be at work. You probably have to work on weekends. You can receive calls during the night that you have to come in for work. I didn't want that. So that's one of the things that pushed me towards dentistry because at the end of the day, you're still helping people, become healthier, but it's just without the long working hours. And I think maybe also because it's not as, I can't say crazy as being a doctor is. Like, I don't have to deal with those emergencies where people come in and they have broken bones everywhere. It's just like not as invasive, but it's still, like I said, helping people become healthier, become better, educating people, transforming their smiles, making them happier, that. So I think those are some of the reasons why I then ventured into becoming a dentist. Yeah.
Okay, nice. So take us back. I know it's a bit difficult to get a place at UZ. How did you feel when you were accepted at UZ?
I was really happy because it's really hard to get into medical school at the University of Zimbabwe, and they don't take a lot of people. So I actually remember when we went in for the interviews, there was like a lot of people. I think we were like in the 600s, and only like, I think 150 people were taking in. So it really was a really good moment because I was so happy to have made it from 600 people to like 150. That was really something. So I was quite happy.
And how about your family? How did they feel?
They were very happy. You know how when you're starting and then your parents have this idea of, my kid is gonna be a doctor. So they were happy about it as well because it's a good thing.
Now that you have the title of being a doctor, but can you fill us in, like, when you were studying, how was it? Was it easy?
As a straight no, it was far from being easy. Yeah, I can tell you that. There were a lot of sleepless nights and struggles there.
Okay, what time did you wake up to study? How was your return?
I'm not a morning person, so I'd actually study late into the night. So I'd rather sleep at 3 a.m. than waking up at 3 a.m. to study. So during exams, yeah, I'll study till like around 2, 3, because yeah, you did need to put in a lot of effort and a lot of work for it to make sense.
Okay. Being at school at the same time, you have got friends, you need to balance your schoolwork and your friendships. How did you manage that?
I think it's actually what I can call a common misconception that when you're in medical school, you don't have time to like, have a social life, have friends, and do things like that. There's always time for everything. What you just need to be able to do is probably like balance your work. But if I'm looking back, there's days when you don't really have like examinations. You can have time to go out, meet your friends, to do this and that. So yeah, it was easy to balance. It's not as bad as people make it out to be.
Okay, studying and also having enough time with your family.
Definitely.
Okay, was there a time like your friends were at parties and then you at school, or you were with your friends most of the times? Was there a time like you'd say, no, I want to study, I can't go with you guys?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Like if you're playing with people, especially who are not in the same profession as you, whose schedules tend to be a bit different. I'll give you an example. If you're a medical student, you have to be at school like from January to December. You rarely have breaks in between. And the university closes, I think, in June. So from June to like August, other guys, they're on holiday. From December to like February, other guys are on holiday. There's times when I would be at school and maybe the people who are not in the same field as me are like at home and they ask me to like go out and stuff. Then there I'd have to actually say I have to study because you have to put your priorities first. So yeah, I did have times like that.
I think it also takes someone who is disciplined because, at times you can't really let your friends down. You just have to go with them wherever they want to go. But it really takes a lot of discipline to do that. So, Tatenda, looking back, what is one thing you wish you had known about campus life that nobody told you?
One thing about campus life. Well, yeah, definitely. I think I would say to live a little because, like I said, you have this misconception that you can't have fun as a medical student. You can't be doing this and that. So when you get there, you're like, trying to lock in and focus. And most of the time, you're trying to do this and that. But like, just live a little, do the things that the other guys are doing, like within reasonable limits, of course. But I think if I had known, I would have had a bit more fun than I did because I started out being a bit more uptight and got relaxed as the years went by. which I could have easily done even before, but I didn't know that I could. So yeah, I wish I could have known that I should live a little. Looking back now, like I'm done, and you're thinking, oh, where life is now, if I had only done this and that when I was still in school. But well, the time is gone and you really can't like reverse the time. So it's a pity, but yeah.
Now you're finally qualified, you're working. Can you explain to me how it was on your first day at work? Were you confident
So
or you were shaking?
okay, so that's actually the crazy thing. So the first day I can say I officially started working was when I was doing my internship, and I did my internship in Bulawayo. So like you're done with your school, but the experience that you get when you're like in school and what it's like out there is like a bit different, right? So when you're in school, you're being babied and people are like constantly checking, are you doing this right? Are you okay? Then you get there and people are like, oh, the new doctors are here. And then you just get there and people are like, all right, you can start working. And you're like, I can what? What do you mean I can start working? Aren't you gonna give me like a small introduction, like, slowly,
Yeah.
gently let me in? No, you just get there and like there's like 40 people on the bench and they're like, cool, you guys can work. And you're like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean I can start working? But like, you then can't, show that side like you're scared and stuff because you do have the training. It's just that maybe the confidence is not as good as it's supposed to be. So you just get in there and then, you're doing your thing, maybe a bit slower than I would do it now. But yeah, I was a bit scared, but outside you have to be like brave and suck it in and do what you gotta do. But yeah, it was like being literally thrown into the ocean and asked to swim, and you've never done that before. So it was something else.
Is it like you were not given someone you can work with, somebody who will be supervising you?
Well, that's the thing. They will tell you have a supervisor. The way they do it in school and the way they do it in an actual setting is not the same. So here you're like working like proper, they're not constantly like by your side to check what you're doing. You can go and ask for help, maybe let's say if you run into a complication, but the way they baby you and the way you're babied in school is completely different.
You'd use maybe mannequin to do your practicals, and now you have to do it on the real person. Can you tell us how you felt? Was there any difference?
Yeah, definitely there's a difference because if I'm working on a mannequin, I can literally stretch the mouth open as wide as this. But I'm sure if I came to you and tried to do that, you'd probably be running out of the clinic like, I don't know what she's trying to do to me. So there is a difference. There is a difference. When you're dealing with a person now, they communicate, they tell you that's painful. You can't do that to your person. So there is a difference. But I wouldn't say it's like a big difference. It's something that you can slowly, get or ease into. It's just that you need to be doing it more and more often until you're comfortable enough to do your work as quickly as I would do it now.
Okay. So being new in the system, was there a time like when you're trying to offer your services to a patient, and the patient will be like, "Are you the doctor?"
Yeah. Well, I don't know, especially for me. Unfortunately, people say I kind of look like a baby. So I still do have those instances now where you walk in and people are like, are you sure you're the doctor? I'm like, yeah, I am. Well, in a government setting, you really can't be like too picky about who does what to you. That's just how it is. So you try to explain to the patient, like, yeah, I am the doctor, and sometimes they ease into it. But if they genuinely feel like, they can't or they're not comfortable and you can pick that they're not comfortable, you can even ask someone else to come and do it. Because the problem with trying to force someone or to force yourself on someone is the treatment is more psychological than it's actually practical. So they would feel like they're having more pain than they would if they're being treated by a different person. Even the treatment itself can actually get complicated just because the patient is like expecting it to be complicated. So in order to avoid that, it's better if you see that they are not easing into it, then you'd rather just switch with someone and then they come. If they slowly, accept and, picture that, okay, so you're the doctor, okay, she actually looks like she knows what she's doing, then we can go from there. Otherwise, forcing yourself and someone is not comfortable, well, that's not usually the best idea.
Okay, so I believe at work we have good days and bad days. Can you take us through a bad day when maybe the procedure didn't go as smooth as you expected? How would you regulate your emotions?
Yeah, so I think one of the things I can say is working in healthcare gives you a certain level of being able to regulate your emotions that you normally would, because a bad day can range from a procedure going wrong or the patient themselves being like a bit difficult than you would expect. And if you combine both of them together, girl, that's something else. Um yeah, I think one of the most complicated treatments that we might get are what we call disimpactions. So, with our wisdom teeth, sometimes they don't come out properly, and then you have to like extract them if you're giving the patient a problem. So, technically and just practically, they tend to be really difficult to do. So now, because a patient is expecting the extraction to take like 5 minutes, like how you probably would normally take with a normal tooth, their patience might run out, the tooth might fracture. And then you end up having to do what we call a surgical disinfection, where you're drilling and it's now 2 hours in. You're both frustrated. The patient is getting tired. You're also getting tired, but you have to just finish what you're doing. I think that's one of the most recent complications I've had, a disinfection that took longer, and or luckily, I can say the complication was there, but the patient themselves were not someone who was like, fussy and difficult. So as you're explaining to them, this is what's happening, they are a bit understanding. So it just makes it easier for both of you because, yeah, it really takes a toll on the mental and the physical part of a person.
Yeah, I can relate to what you're saying. Sometimes having a complication and then the patient is difficult. Oh my God, that would be a
Yeah,
recipe
yeah,
for disaster.
I
Okay,
know.
so for how long have you been working?
I've been working for, I think, the past 2.5 years, going on to 3 now.
When you started working, now that you were getting money, how did you feel? Did you have any plans like my first salary, I'm going to do this and this and that? How was it like?
Yeah, so that's the thing. We all have those fantasies like when I finally get my money, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. But no one warns you that adulting comes with its own with its own problems. So I thought when I get my first salary, I'm going to like buy my parents this and then I'm gonna renovate that and then I'm gonna change this. And unfortunately for me, I had to move to Bulawayo. So that was like starting a whole new life. So I had to go there. I had to find a place to stay. That came with buying property from like scratch. So that was something unexpected. And the money ended up going where I didn't think it was going to go. But yeah, but there's something liberating, about actually earning your own money. You can do what you want to do when you want to do it. You don't have to be like asking for permission. It actually kind of gives you a bit more confidence, because if you do something and you get stuck, have a way of rescuing yourself. And it also actually like makes you a bit more responsible because now you have got like all these responsibility. You have to buy your own food, you have to manage your rentals, your transport money, in case of emergency and this and that, which is something that you don't normally have as a student at school because your raise is being paid for by your parents, you eat at your parents' house, and yeah, everything else is basically taken care of. So it actually gives you a bit more maturity, a bit more responsibility, and all that. And you realize that adulting is a scam, my guy.
It is. So you're in Bulawayo at the moment?
No, now I'm back in Harare full time.
Oh, okay, that's good. Okay,
Yeah.
there's this glory that comes with being a doctor, but I believe that
Mhm.
it's physically straining and also emotionally to some extent. So how do you manage? How do you handle all that?
I think you just get better at it as you go, honestly, because I think during the first days when I'd see certain things, I would kind of like go with them at home, like overthinking, like, oh my God, so this person is actually going through this, through that, through that. So you need to learn how to be empathetic. Like you feel for the person, but you don't make it your own personal problem. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. Like it's different from, sympathizing, but you just be like, well, that's not a good thing that they're going through this, but you don't let it have like a toll on you. So you see stuff, you try to help as much as you can. If it works out, that's great. If it doesn't, then that's a bit sad. Imagine if you're going through this every day, you're seeing 5 people going through this, going through that, and everything, you're making it a personal thing to you. That doesn't work at all. So over time, I guess you just learn how to be empathetic, feel for the person, help as much as you can. But when you go home, you leave work at work and you're home and you're dealing with your own issues there.
Okay, so I believe you work with different types of people. Some people are kind and some people are rude. So in the event that you meet a client who is a bit rude, how do you protect your energy so that you don't carry that on?
I think this is pretty much almost the same as having a kid. They do something you don't like and you're like, hey, don't do this, don't do that. But you try to think of them as like a kid. Ngwana, ngwana. They are doing what they're doing because they're a kid. They don't understand and you treat them as such. So with me, I'll see the person and I'll try to be like, okay, I don't know, maybe they had a bad day. Maybe the pain they're feeling is making them act out of character. If it is their character, I'll try to be as nice as I possibly can. Where I work, we try to create an environment where if you feel like you need to just step out a bit, take a breath, come back, you can. If you feel like you kind of need to like hand over the person to another person, you can, but that's very rare because just being able to, think about what I said, like maybe they're in pain, maybe they've had a bad day. Let me try to just treat them as best as I can. If you need to take a break, you take a break and then you come back. Usually that works, at least for me, with the situations that I've dealt with before. And then also even sometimes trying to explain to the patient nicely and calmly also kind of like de-escalates their energy, because the problem comes when they come in with an attitude and then you also catch an attitude. Now you're like, two people butting heads. But if they come at you like that and then you try to like meet them with, that warm responsive energy, usually somehow they also just like try to calm down and realize, oh, okay, this is a bit of a safe space. I can try to not be as rude. And as you're explaining, as they're understanding, naturally you kind of like come to some sort of understanding. And that really actually works for me. I've never had a time when I had to actually call in someone else because I couldn't handle a patient. Just doing that just resolves it on its own.
That's really good. So now you're a dentist. What would you want to say to the youngsters out there who are listening to you?
Okay, so first thing I'd want to say is you should believe in yourself first. Like you have your family, you have your friends, but what's important is you believe in yourself more than anyone else, because there's times when you're gonna fail and people will probably come at you, are you sure you're doing the right thing? Or like, maybe, you should try and do this. But if you have the conviction and you know that I can do this, you can and you will. And the other thing maybe is if you're going to fall, you should like fall quickly. What I mean by this is like if you want to try something and it doesn't work out, try it. If it doesn't work out, fall, but fall quickly and then quickly get back up and go on to the next thing. So what you would want to avoid is you have a situation and things don't work out. And then you spend the next year throwing a pity party for yourself and playing a victim and complaining about it and all that. Like go through emotions, feel the pain, but as quickly as you can, move on to the next thing, because the world definitely will not reward people who, throw pity parties at themselves, and it won't really change anything. It's better to be solution oriented than mostly focusing on the past and what you could have done or what things would have been if it was like this, because that's already happened. What you can fix is where you are now, and you can start from where you are and make things better for yourself. So I think those two, really believe in yourself And if you're going to fall fast and just get back up on your feet.
It's really good. I've got this question. Being a doctor, some men feel intimidated with your title.
We
In what way?
Well, I guess people, because you think, doctors are like people with money, and like even if you want to marry, maybe the family will be like, our kid's a doctor, so we're gonna charge you like 50,000. They have all these high expectations in their mind. So some of them naturally are just like a doctor. And I mean, I guess that's okay, because in the end, you don't want to be with someone who kind of doubts if they can be with you. So it's better that way.
So do you personally feel that you chose the right career for you?
Yeah, I do. I honestly wouldn't see myself doing anything else at this point. I can't imagine myself being an engineer. I can't imagine being an accountant or anything. I feel like I really am in the right place, and I love what I do. I love what I do. I love helping people. I love, making them feel better. It also makes me feel better when my patients are happy. So yeah, definitely I did.
So looking back to how you were when you were at UZ and now, would you say that Tatenda has changed?
I have a lot. I have a lot. Definitely, I have. I guess like growing up now, being more independent, being more responsible. It also comes with like more maturity and even like emotional regulation. Like I was saying, the more you meet different situations and different cases, the more emotionally regulated you become as a person. And especially spiritually, I feel like I've really attained a lot of spiritual growth between who I was in university and where I am at now. I can't explain or attribute it to anything, but it's just been something that's just happened. And yeah, definitely I have changed in that perspective. Yeah, and I guess even, mentally reading books, listening to podcasts, doing a lot of internal work, internal reflections and therapy and all that. Yeah, I really have changed, and I'm happy about who I am becoming.
Let's say there's somebody out there who is confused, who doesn't know which career path to follow. Would you encourage that person to choose being a dentist?
So if you want to figure out what you want to do, I think I would advise that if you can actually shadow, that would be great for you. Because when you're shadowing, you get to see like the real life experiences of what it is like being in that profession. You can research about it, and you can ask people about it, but there's nothing that would beat firsthand experience of actually seeing what's being done and how it's being done. So we actually had upcoming medical student who was with us where I work, and he had been shadowing us for a bit. He wanted to see if he wanted to become a medical doctor or to become a dentist. And he came to our clinic, shadowed us for a bit, seeing what we do when we're treating our patients. He comes with us in the rooms and even went to Paririnyatwa just to see how, the medical doctors do what they do. And then it will actually help you to really think about it, to see if you would enjoy the business of being at party, even like being at a private medical chamber, or if you would like to, spend your day like in a dental setting, in a dental clinic. So I'd say definitely doing the research. And if you can shadow and see firsthand what it's like, being in the setting that you think you want to be in. This is quite an interesting field. It's fun, it's enjoyable, it's very relaxed, it's free. Like I was saying, the working hours are good. I think even the income is great as well. So if you want to become a dentist, by all means, go for it. It's a really good profession. I guarantee you that it comes with a lot of growth. Besides, being at work, like I was saying, the emotional growth, the maturity, the being responsible and all that. And you get to learn. And there's a lot of fields as well. You can specialize into doing different things that you feel like, you would enjoy more than just being a general dentist. You can do the braces, you can be a maxillofacial surgeon, you can specialize in endodontics and all that. So there's a lot of fields that you can actually also branch into. So yeah, I think it's a really good profession. It comes with a lot of growth as well to the individual. So yeah. I would encourage people to do it.
That's good. I believe there have been a lot of awareness about not taking sweet things, but as people, we keep on doing the same thing and we keep on coming to you guys. What do you have to say about that?
Okay, so this one is an interesting one. Okay, so I think I'll kind of like explain this in age groups, right? So I'll start with the babies, children below 5 years of age. So there's a tendency to give the baby like a bottle of milk as they're about to sleep, and then you let them sleep with the bottle in their mouth, or like when you're weaning them off and then you're giving them a lot of the juice boxes, maheu and all that. So that actually causes what we call baby bottle caries. And you will find that when your child is like around 3 years of age, or when their teeth start to erupt, they quickly decay and they have like brown, small little teeth, especially on the top front part. It's because of that. So it's not good to actually put a baby to sleep with a bottle and to keep that in their mouth for a long time. So I would discourage doing that for the babies, and even like giving them a lot of juice boxes as well, because that actually causes a lot of tooth decay. Then we move from there to like the children in kindergarten, primary school, a lot of sweets, definitely, because like they love these sweet things and they're taking them often and all the time and all this. So yeah, if you can try to manage the amount of intake of sweet things that your child has, because the increase in quantity of the sweet stuff that a child consumes also leads to an increase in the risk of them getting these caries, and especially at the age where they are supposed to get their permanent teeth, because now it's kind of sad when a child already has their first permanent adult teeth erupting and they're already decaying, meaning you probably have to take them out and you're still a child and they still have like their whole adult life ahead of them. And now you're taking it out. So it's not a good thing. So try to monitor the amount of sugary things that they take in. And also what's important, even now to adults, monitoring the intake of the sweet things that you have and doing your dental checkups every 6 months, even if you feel like there's nothing wrong with your teeth, so that if there's any early signs of decay, it's noticed early and you can actually intervene as early as you can. So now, as for the day-to-day handling of your teeth, first we said you have to try and minimize the amount of sugary things that you're taking in. If you feel like that's hard for you, then you have to try and brush your teeth 2 times a day, in the morning after you have your breakfast and in the evening just before you go for bed, so that you remove the sweet things on your teeth. And even if you have like maybe sugary stuff during the day, if you can just have like a drink of some water just to rinse off all that sweet stuff from your teeth, it actually, helps and goes a long way. And even flossing as well. So yeah, reducing, increasing the cleaning time, and having your dental checkups every 6 months, that would actually go a long way.
Okay. How often should we change our toothbrushes?
Every 3 months, even
3 months.
before
Oh my God.
yeah, before it starts looking like this, yeah, every 3 months.
Yeah, so that was Tatenda Mapfumo, our dentist. Thank you so much, Tatenda, for coming. And that's a wrap on today's story. Thank you, Tatenda, for reminding us that behind every strong woman is a journey worth telling. And if today's conversation moved you, inspired you, or made you feel a little less alone in your own journey, that's exactly why this channel exists, to inspire and to celebrate women one story at a time. If you know a woman whose story deserves to be told, drop her name in the comment section. She might just be our next guest. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with a woman who needs to hear it today. Until next time, keep shining in your feminine energy. Till we meet, I'm your host, Tsitsi Grace Nyambe. Thank you.